The story of Adolf Hitler is the tragic tale of a man whose artistic purity and innocence was tarnished by the ravages of war. It's the story of a young man with noble, honorable ambitions to fill the world with peace and tranquility through his artwork, and then had that ambition forcefully transmuted into something heinous: politics. It's a story worth telling because it's one we can all relate to. This is the story of the rise, fall, and decay of Adolf Hitler. The year was 1907, and a young man named Adolf Hitler moved away from his family home to start a career as an artist in the city of Vienna. Adolf was 18 years old with nothing more than the clothes on his back and the dream of becoming a world-famous artist. But he wasn't in it just for the fame and fortune. He wanted to make the world a better place by filling it with beautiful, innocent things. And the first step of achieving that dream was getting into art school. He took the entrance exam at the Academy of Fine Arts Vienna, but failed. The instructors criticized his work, claiming that it featured too few heads, and that he should instead pursue a career in architecture. But Adolf was determined to make his dreams come true, so he disregarded the creative differences he was having with the proctors, and the following year he attempted the entrance exam yet again, but this time received even lower marks. It quickly became clear to Adolf that if he wanted to pursue a career in painting, he'd have to do it without attending art school. So he did what all good artists do. He kept making art even in the face of rejection and disdain. In 1909, he painted The Old Building in Stand of Trees, a remarkable piece for a 20-year-old with no formal art education. The painting featured a beautiful four-story home that evoked a sense of warmth and security. Unfortunately, nobody was interested in purchasing the painting, but Adolf pressed onward, following up with a piece called Self-Portrait on a Stone Bridge the subsequent year. Self-Portrait abandoned the realism of the old building in favor of a dreamlike, cartoonish reflection on Adolf's inner self. Where most artists narcissistically illustrate stoic, self-important portraits to inflate their fragile egos, Adolf instead wanted to express how he saw himself in the world. Nothing more than a dreamer sitting on a stone bridge, a peaceful moment of nature that reflected his own sense of inner peace. Of course, realistic depictions of nature and architecture were all the rage at the time, so for the sake of keeping food on the table, Adolf had no choice but to continue creating art in the style of the old building. Hoping to get his big break into the art industry, Adolf loitered daily at famous artist cafes in Munich with the hope of networking with an established artist. It was there where he made a friend who got him a job illustrating postcards of famous Vienna landmarks. Although postcards weren't as extravagant as full-sized paintings, Adolf took great pride and joy in this work, as each little masterpiece was sure to put a smile on the face of the person receiving it in the mail. Adolf continued this lifestyle for the next 3 years, only finding the time to create 4 additional paintings for his catalog. These 4 paintings are among the most elegant and illustrious paintings Adolf ever made. Much like his first 2 masterpieces, these evoked a sense of calm, peace, and comfort. But that was all about to change, for as Adolf reached the cusp of breaking out into a full-fledged art career, the sirens of war began to call, and Adolf had no choice but to enlist in the army to fight in what was being called the Great War. The Great War changed him. The horrors of death and destruction mutated Adolf's gentle, loving sensibilities. Here was a man who spent the first 25 years of his life wanting to make the world a better place through his peaceful illustrations and paintings, who now, after having no choice but to enlist in the Bavarian army, had been morally deflowered. While serving on the front lines of war, Adolf continued his artistry. But his new paintings were far from the tranquil masterpieces of his early 20s. While serving in the army, he drew Road to No Man's Land, Destroyed Tank, The Trail, Tank Battleground, Smoking Tank, war-torn town, tank patrol. It was picture after picture of violence and mostly tank-related destruction. A literal and metaphorical fall from grace. While serving in the army, Adolf got a job for the army newspaper drawing cartoons and instructions. But these small projects of levity weren't enough to reverse the curse that death and destruction had inflicted upon Adolf's gentle psyche. He completely abandoned his desire to create art that evoked a sense of peace. In my view, Adolf Hitler the artist died the moment he enlisted in the military. By the time the war was over and Adolf's army had won, he decided to sideline his artistic ambitions in favor of an entirely new ambition: politics. Adolf wanted to become a high-ranking politician so that he could take the steps necessary to prevent a worldwide catastrophe like the Great War from happening ever again. And tragically, he never again put brush to canvas. As Adolf rose to political power and his new career overtook his life, a small part of his artistic ambition still remained. He kept his favorite paintings with him at all times. His paintings from the old days. His paintings depicting innocence and tranquility. It's as if Adolf understood that the world wasn't ready for his peaceful paintings, and that he literally had to fix the world's obsession with warmongering before his style of artwork would ever be marketable. The most telling moment that reflected this notion was in August of 1939 when Adolf, now the Chancellor of Germany, told a British ambassador, "I am an artist, and not a politician. Once the Polish question is settled, I want to end my life as an artist." Well, I don't know what the Polish question was, but apparently Adolf never found the answer, as he died before ever creating another art piece. The world lost one of its greatest unsung artists on April 30th, 1945. Adolf's ambitions were proving to be impossible, and he felt as though the whole world was against him, so he came up with a final solution: suicide. Much like the greatest artists in history, your Hemingways, your Van Goghs, Adolf took his own life at the tender age of 56, surrounded by his paintings and a world that wasn't ready for the beauty he wanted to share with it. Most artists tragically only get famous in death, but Adolf was spared the luxury. And then, much like his artistic ambitions, his body began to decay. The story of Adolf is one that we can all relate to and learn from. Sometimes our hopes and dreams, no matter how noble and heartfelt they may be, will be impossible to achieve because those in positions of authority simply might not like us. So, the decision is ours, to either give up on our dreams completely, or to become the authority that cruelly rejected us. Hey everybody! Obviously, these types of videos don't get monetized. So if you would like to support me making the types of content that YouTube wants to go extinct, you can contribute to my Patreon page down in the description. And get your name here on screen with the other Patreon heroes. Also, this video was edited by my friend Turkey Tom, so if you liked the editing in this video, be sure to check him out. I've got a link to Tom's channel down in the description, so go watch him start drama with the other drama channels, or whatever the fuck the kids are doing these days. I'll see you next time.